This is Histories and Mysteries. I'm Ashley.
I'm adjusting my eyeball. I thought I had time before we started.
I know, I hit record and I was like, oh
no. Well, I'm Jessica. And like Ashley said, this is Histories and Mysteries. You
On
threw me off with the eyeball.
We are going to be talking about.
Oh my God, you threw me off, lady. Ashley is going to be talking about the attack of Chuck and Carol Stuart.
Yes.
While I am going to be talking about the let's go with the disappearance of Leigh Occhi.
Okay. Sounds good.
It's really sad.
Oh, great. In case you are watching us on YouTube and you say like, hey, they're wearing the same exact thing as last week. That's disgusting. We're actually recording 2 in one night. So, because we're both going on vacation next week.
I'll just whip off my sweater, new shirt, but no, because my closet is freezing. So
yeah, I'm hot here, but
it's freezing because I broke our vent thing.
Oh no.
So it's just a gaping hole in my floor now, but it's fine.
Nice.
And my eyeball's bugging the crap out of me. So it's fine.
Well, let's get into this then so we can give your eyeball a break.
Okay.
This I got from a documentary, but I'm going to wait till the end to tell you what it's called because I think it might give it away.
Okay.
So, Chuck and Carol met when Chuck was a chef and Carol was a waitress.
Aw.
Yeah, very cute.
That's so cute.
And they got married in 1985.
Aw.
In October of 1989, Chuck and Carol found out they were expecting their first child together.
Aww.
And so, as one does, they went to some Lamaze classes. Jess, did you ever go to Lamaze class?
No, because it was COVID.
Yeah, same. They had like online ones, but I was like, I think I can figure out how to breathe. So I didn't.
Literally, what's the point of doing the online ones? And it's funny because I just like, I guess I was breathing properly when I was in labor, but because the nurse kept
held my breath a lot.
Oh, I made sure that I was like in through my nostril, out through my mouth, and I was like very conscious about that. I'm like, I have to breathe properly or I'm not going to get through this pain.
Yeah. I'm like, when I'm in a lot of pain, I just like clench up everything and I shut my eyes and I just like push through it. So I think I held my breath a lot during the contractions, but I don't know.
See, I'm like that normally.
Yeah.
Like when I have my period and I'm in like
conscious.
pain. Oh yeah, because I'm like, this is intense pain. I really need to breathe through this. And the nurse like complimented me on how well I was breathing. Like, thank you. It's funny. Horrendous.
It's funny to think like I got complimented on how well I was pushing for like a first time mom. And it makes you feel so good. You're like, oh, thank you.
Thank you. I didn't poop.
That was great. All right. So anyway, they were on their way back from Lamaze class, and this was in October. They were due in December with a little boy.
Aww.
And as all of my stories go, something horrible happened.
Oh, don't say that.
Chuck called 911, explaining that he and his wife had been shot.
What?
Yeah. The dispatcher asked where they were, but Chuck didn't know. He wasn't able to like really tell where they were. And this was like 1989, so cell phone tracking wasn't like super great yet. But he did say he was shot and he was bleeding out and he needed help.
Holy crap. Okay.
So everyone's worst nightmare. They were driving. They stopped at a red light and someone hopped in their back seat.
Oh no.
I always lock my doors.
that's a new fear unlocked.
Oh no. Every time I get in the car, first thing I do is lock my doors.
Yeah.
Constantly. But most cars now too, like when you start
going, automatically lock.
Yeah. Probably for this reason. And they said that the guy got in their car, he had a gun, and he told them to drive. So they stopped. He told them to stop the car. in this low income housing area. And that's why Chuck had no idea where he was at. So while he was on the phone with 911, he was trying to tell them, I don't know where I'm at because this happened, and he passes out.
Oh.
So right before he passed out, he did say that he saw a road sign called Tremont. But Tremont, and this is in Boston, is a extremely long road. So they just sent like a shit ton of cops out and said, drive up and down this road and try and find him.
Oh my God.
Thankfully, when Chuck passed out, he still had his phone on, so they could like hear him breathing.
Good. Oh, that's
and they
good.
could hear police sirens in the background.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, but they didn't know what officer it was because they were all out there. So they had all the police officers turn off their sirens and then had them turn them on one by one. And they found who was closest and said, hey, it's you. You're closest. Look around that area.
That's so smart.
Yeah. And that's how they found Chuck and Carol.
Oh.
So I keep going off script and just like telling the story, and then I lost my spot. So that's why I keep like pausing. So when they got on scene, they found that Carol had been shot in the head. She was still alive, but she was in cardiac arrest.
Oh, sweet girl.
Yeah, and because of this, they knew they only had 10 minutes to get the baby out because her heart wasn't working.
Oh no.
That just so happened that night, there was a news crew working with Boston Medic. Sometimes, they do the ride-alongs and stuff like that with news crews. And so that happened to be there. And when they pulled Chuck out, he had been shot in the abdomen. They were able to ask him, who did this to you? And he said very clearly into the camera, a black man.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Yeah. Not great.
No.
Unfortunately, while they were in the hospital, Carol died. And they had to take her baby out 2 months early, which is early, but it is viable. I'm going to tell you right now, the baby doesn't make it.
Oh no.
Yeah, I'm just going to rip that Band-Aid off so you don't have to like agonize through it. But and Chuck goes through 6 hours of surgery in his intestines. And he actually ended up having to do 5 weeks of rehab in ICU.
Wow.
While there, Chuck was able to tell police what happened. He said that him and Carol, while they were stopped at a red light, a man jumped in with a gun and took him to a secluded area. He said that the man had a very raspy voice. He was wearing a black running suit with red stripes. And this man took Carol's jewelry and car keys. They put those in her purse, and then they took the purse with them too. The intruder then says, hey, I think you guys are 5-0, and shoots Carol in the back of the head. Chuck ducks down, and then the intruder shoots him in the abdomen and then runs.
Oh my God.
So because the news crew was there, the whole scene, like the end scene, was caught on camera, and that, Chuck saying who did it and all this kind of stuff, it made national news. It was huge because they had this footage. And the mayor of Boston said, we're going to send more cops to this area called Mission Hill, which is where the car was. So this area was a predominantly poor area, a predominantly Black area, and sending more cops there caused this already like racially tense area to become even more tense. So the racial tensions were really high with the cops there. And it seemed like at this point the cops were just kind of picking up anybody that was Black. So yeah,
of course they were.
Yeah. So 3 days after the shooting, a man by the name of Timothy Talbert was arrested on a completely unrelated charge. Somehow, and they don't go into detail on how, but somehow the news reporters were told that he was a suspect in the shooting, which wasn't true. So when he came out of his interview, he was like swarmed by reporters. Nothing really came of that.
Super.
2 days after, police arrested another man named Alan Swanson. He was a 29-year-old homeless man. And when police found him, he had a black sweatsuit with stripes soaking in a sink. They assumed he was trying to wash the blood out, but they obviously didn't know for sure. So they arrested him for a burglary charge, and continued to look more into the shooting.
Oh my
But
goodness.
the stripes on the tracksuit were white, and Chuck was very adamant that the stripes were red.
Okay. Well, at least that's something.
Yeah. So they then brought in another black man named Willie Bennett. He was a 39-year-old ex-con who had been arrested twice for, quote, gunplay with police. I don't
Oh
know
my
what
gosh.
that is.
Okay. Well, something else.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. So they actually send Willie's mugshot along with, like, some others to Chuck, and Chuck pointed Willie out and said, "That's the guy." Oh, excuse me, sorry. Pointed out and said, "That's the guy." So meanwhile, Carol's funeral was happening, and everyone was obviously very sad. Chuck couldn't go to Carol's funeral. He was still in the ICU, but he did write like a little thing that they read there, and
That's
everybody was sad.
really awful.
Yeah. But people noticed that Chuck's younger brother, Matthew, was like extra sad. And he had been that way since Carol passed.
Oh no.
And as soon as the funeral was over, he ran to California for 6 weeks and just kind of drank and didn't really talk to anybody.
Ooh, okay. Interesting. Do we find out why?
So after the 6 weeks in California, Matthew comes back and goes straight to police. And he hands them Carol's engagement ring. The one that the killer supposedly took from her and ran off with. And tells detective that Willie Bennett didn't kill Carol. It was Chuck. Dun, dun, dun.
Oh my God. That was not where I was expecting that to go. I was like thinking that, his brother and her were having like a love affair.
That's what I thought at first too.
Yeah. Not like, oh my God.
It was guilt. So police decided to take a more in-depth look at Chuck because they're like, well, we never really looked at him before because
He was also
why wouldn't
brutally
we?
injured. Yeah.
Yeah. They found out he's not really a good guy.
Oh.
He is apparently a pathological liar. He would tell people that he got a football scholarship to a university that didn't even have football scholarships. And
What is the point?
apparently he did not want the baby that they were having. He actually asked Carol to get an abortion and she said no. And he was pissed about it. He didn't want to have a baby.
Oh my God.
They also found out that while he was in the ICU, he was having several phone calls to a lady that he worked with. And when they talked to coworkers about it, they're like, yeah, he talks to that girl a lot and he buys her gifts a lot.
Oh my gosh.
Uh,
So not where I saw this going.
I know.
Holy shit. Okay.
Matthew also said that his brother had him participate in several insurance scams, including one where they had to stage a burglary at Chuck's home, but Carol came home early that day, and damn, Carol just ruined everything. So,
Oh my God.
2 months later, Chuck says, yo, buddy, I got this great new insurance scam. Okay. All you have to do is park at a certain spot on a certain day and time with your window down. I'm going to throw a bag into your car and then you just got to get rid of it. And I'll give you $10,000 to do this. And Matthew's like, what could go wrong? Sounds great. So on October 22nd, the two brothers do a dry run. And then on the 23rd, Matthew goes to the spot with his window open. Chuck arrives on schedule, tosses a bag in the car. And Matthew was like, I wonder what's in this bag. And it's Carol's purse with Carol's jewelry and a gun. So this is Matthew's theory of what happened. He thinks that Chuck stopped the car in a secluded spot, grabbed the gun, shot Carol in the back of the head, took her jewelry and her purse and keys, put it in the bag, and then shot himself in his back through his abdomen to make it look real. He then drove to where Matthew was, throws the bag, and calls the police.
He
Matthew's
drove to him while
shot.
having a gun wound?
Yeah. Matthew said that he took Carol's engagement ring out of the bag and threw the rest of the bag into a river. But an odd thing is he said he swears he didn't see Carol in Chuck's car when Chuck pulled up to throw the bag in his window.
That's weird.
And unfortunately, we'll never know the truth. Because Chuck learned that Matthew has spoken to the police. He drove his car to a bridge, left a note that read, "I love my family. The last 4 months have been hell. All the allegations have taken all of my strength," and then jumped 150 feet to his death in the Mystic River. In 1991, Matthew pled guilty of obstruction of justice and insurance fraud and spends 4 years in jail. He dies in 2011 of a drug overdose in a homeless shelter. Because of this, again, like I said, there's a lot of racial tension between Mission Hill and police. So Carol's family actually made the Carol DeMattia Stuart Foundation to provide scholarship and aid to Mission Hill residents. In the 15 years that it's been around, it's raised over $1 million and it has helped more than 200 students from Mission Hills.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. And the documentary was called Killer in Plain Sight.
Oh.
But I figured if I said that, it would make you start thinking about like who's in plain sight. So I didn't want to tell you.
No, that makes sense. Who do you like? Do you think it was him?
I do. I think it was Chuck. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do. The only weird thing is that, like you said, he shot himself and then drove with it, which would be hard, but I think doable. And two, Matthew swore up and down that he didn't see Carol in the car, but she would have been in the car. So those are the only like two weird things about it that they were never.
But she could have been like down,
slumped over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it might have been dark. It was dark.
Yeah,
right?
it was nighttime. Yeah.
Yeah. So there could have been like a lot of things going on.
True. Yeah. So that is the attack of Chuck and Carol Stuart.
It was wild.
Yeah, not where I expected it to go at all when I first started watching it.
No, and then you like mentioned one thing, and I'm like, okay, it's gonna go this way, and then you're like, but bam, no,
but bam. Yep, I know. It was really good. So it's a shorty, but I was like, this was real good.
It was really good.
I mean,
super
good.
sad.
Yes, because a baby and an innocent woman died. Okay. Yes, obviously.
I hate that we have to like clarify that.
Yeah.
But it was well researched.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. So we're gonna move from one horrible story to another one.
Yay.
Right? That's what dreams are made of.
You know.
So I got my sources from my favorite website.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. And then medium.com.
Oh, I do like the good medium.com story.
Yes. And Kyle found this story for me, my husband.
Ooh.
For those that don't know. I'm like, I am tired. Find me a story. And he found me a story from All That's Interesting because he knows me so well. And he literally sent me the All That's Interesting article. And I'm like, oh, yes.
Oh, thanks.
Just what I love. So this is the disappearance of Leigh Occhi. I just want to preface this by saying it's really sad, really awful. No. I'm sorry.
Oh, thanks. Great.
Leigh Occhi was born on August 21st, 1979 in Honolulu, Hawaii to Donald Occhi and Vicky Felton. Why are you looking at me like that?
I'm just looking. I'm just listening.
I thought I said Honolulu wrong.
No.
You gave me a look.
No, I think I was thinking, have I heard this story? And then I was like, no, I don't think the girl from the story I'm thinking of was Hawaiian. She was Korean, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, this girl is not.
I think that's what I was thinking. So that's probably why I
Oh,
was looking
okay.
weird.
Okay. Her parents met when they were both stationed in the US Army in California. They quickly got married in 1977 and then they subsequently divorced in 1981. Donald, Leigh's father, then moved to Germany. He stayed in touch with her, and she would go and visit him every now and then. But she lived primarily with her mom in the United States. And they eventually settled in, I'm going to pronounce it wrong. I even have listened to the ladies pronounce it, and I still don't know. Tupelo. I hate myself. Tupelo,
Tupelo. Okay.
Tupelo, Mississippi.
Never heard of it, so I can't help you with the pronunciation, but
That's rude.
sorry.
You're my American. You're supposed to help. Leigh Occhi was woken up by her mom, Vicky, getting ready to work on the morning of August 27th, 1992. The tranquil hamlet of Tupelo was under the shadowy threat of Hurricane Andrew at the time.
Oh,
Do you remember anything about Hurricane Andrew?
I don't.
I don't either. Oh, I wasn't born, so I wouldn't know. Nah, you were.
What year was it again?
1992.
Oh, yeah, I was, but I was only 6.
I was 0. He he he. The horse obsessed 8th grader was blonde, and her final days of summer vacation were upon her.
Oh, that's always such a bummer when you're a kid.
Yeah. She was supposed to go with her grandparents to an open house at her new school later that day, but she never made it.
Oh.
That morning, she was spending the first night unattended at home. Even did that make sense?
Yeah, she was staying at home alone.
Yeah, but it just said that morning she was spending the first night unattended at home. It just is a weird way
Oh,
to say that.
yeah, no, that didn't
Even
make
though
sense. I mean, I
because she
got
was,
what you were saying, but
yeah, she
yeah,
was basically staying home alone
got it.
for the first time, which is a big deal.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. But it was, I wouldn't leave my kid home alone if there was a hurricane.
Yeah, I forgot about that
Like,
little thing.
yeah,
Yeah,
just a little odd.
yeah.
Even though Hurricane Andrew had been downgraded to a tropical storm, her mom called home to see how her daughter was doing when a heavy downpour passed over the town early in her work shift.
Well, and maybe her mom had to go to work and couldn't take time off, and you know what I mean. She's like,
During a hurricane?
She's like, it's a tropical storm. It's gonna be like rain.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. We don't have hurricanes, so I don't know how they work.
I've been through a couple hurricanes in Charleston, and thankfully
Yeah.
the ones I was in were not bad. So
Yeah, that's good.
thankfully,
That'd be so scary.
it's not great.
Yeah, that's not great.
Yeah.
So Leigh didn't answer the phone
Mm.
and she didn't call her back.
Mm.
According to different reports, Vicky either left work and rushed back home to check on Leigh herself, or she called her mother to check on Leigh.
Okay.
There's 2 different versions.
Gotcha.
Leigh had disappeared when Felton hurried back to her house. The only signs of her were small pools of blood on the carpet and smears of her blood in the hallway.
Oh my God.
Nothing had been heard or observed by the neighbors. She simply vanished.
And you said she was 6?
No, you were 6.
Oh, I was 6. How old was she?
1981 to 1992. She was 8th grade.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I was 6. That's right. Everything's about me, Jessica. It's all about me.
Yeah, because you're the old one. Subsequent inquiry would leave authorities baffled at every turn. And Vicky went over her account. And this is where things get weird.
Okay.
The morning her daughter vanished, Vicky Felton departed for work at 7:40 a.m.
Okay.
Felton hurriedly left her office and went the mile and a half home to check on 13-year-old Occhi when she didn't answer the phone shortly before 8:30 a.m.
Okay.
Less than an hour.
Yeah.
The garage door was open and the light inside was still on when she pulled into the driveway. She told she told CNN that it was really strange because the light doesn't turn on unless someone triggers the door. Awful.
So like they had just left.
Yeah. Felton shouted for her daughter inside the home, and after a cursory search, there was nothing found. Felton then saw blood streaks on the hallway walls. She moved toward Occhi's room with fear. Outside the door, she discovered a few little bloody pools on the ground, and there is much more on the door frame.
I would lose my fucking mind.
Yeah. Like how to be in that moment, I couldn't.
Oh my God, that poor mom.
Yeah. And they found her nightgown bloodied in the laundry basket. She also discovered more blood close to the rear door as she walked into the home, and at this time with greater urgency. At around 8:30 a.m., she looked outside before dialing 911. When the police arrived on the scene, they saw no evidence of forced entry. Bloodhounds were sent out to investigate the area, scouring over fields and ditches nearby, but they found no sign of young Leigh Occhi. It was difficult to tell if the persistent downpours were washing away any traces of the girl's scent, or if there was just no scent to begin with.
Ugh.
Yeah. Inside the home, police found more traces of blood in the bathroom. They said it's pretty obvious to us that someone tried to clean up the scene or the countertop. But we couldn't find the rag or towel that had been used. We couldn't find it anywhere. And that was the police captain. Like, there was nothing.
Ugh.
And her shoes, a pair of shorts, a new pair of underwear she had gotten for her birthday, her glasses, and a sleeping bag were missing from the home.
That's weird.
Yeah. It would have appeared that she was simply a runaway if it weren't for the blood all over the place.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm assuming he was trying to make it look like she was a runaway.
Yeah. Like, bud, you kind of failed with all the blood.
Yeah. Well, nobody ever said criminals were smart.
Very true. Apart from the blood, the scene offered little hints to the police, and none of them led to Occhi's whereabouts. After examining her nightgown, investigators came to the conclusion that the blood most likely came from a head or neck wound because it looked like it trickled down the nightgown from above. So that's what they're kind of assuming happened. Following tests, it was discovered that Occhi's blood type, which is type O, was present throughout the house.
Oh, God.
Donald Occhi quickly obtained a leave of absence from his army duty in Alexandria, Virginia, and joined the search operations. As we learned before, their marriage didn't really last long. And so, like I said, like Donald stayed in the army and Vicky left to work for a manufacturing company.
Gotcha.
So they weren't really on like the greatest terms, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
But yeah. In an interview with Mississippi's Daily Journal, Donald Occhi recalled the phone call he received from Vicky on August 28th. She said, Leigh's missing. I said, what the hell do you mean? Did she run away? What happened? I had no idea there was blood and stuff like that.
Ugh.
And in a separate interview with true crime blogger Anthony Wayne, he clarified the day after it happened, all she said was Leigh was missing. A couple of days later, she called with the details of the blood and everything else.
Mm.
And she was still missing despite the continuous efforts for her like retrieval.
Ugh. And the thing that sucks, I mean, the whole thing sucks, but like, she just missed them.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
God.
On September 4th, 1992, 8 days after Leigh had vanished, a worker at a McDonald's in Boonesville reported to authorities that they had seen a girl who matched Leigh's description in the drive-thru of the restaurant. This sighting was later ruled out, but it was later determined that the child in question was not Leigh.
Oh.
Yeah, so close.
Yeah, I was hopeful. I was like, oh, that means she's alive.
Later, on September 9th, Felton got a strange package in the mail and it
Ugh.
had no return address and it was addressed to Barney Yarborough, who was Ochi's stepfather.
Oh, God.
And what do you think was in the package?
Was it a body part?
It was her glasses.
Oh. So this was clearly something against her stepdad.
Maybe. Who
Oh.
knows? Quote, there was no ransom letter, Police Chief Bart Aguar said. There was no ransom letter or anything like that. It was just the glasses. You would think it was an actual kidnapping. You would have expected a little more to come along with that. So, like, at this point, it's just kind of like,
She's just fucking
shit.
with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When the police examined every component of the package, they turned up no fingerprints or any other evidence. And instead of saliva for the stamps, water was used.
Of course.
And there was like a ton of stamps on it, like what way more than should have been used for it, which was super weird. And it had a Boonville postmark, which was a town 30 miles away, or about an hour away for my Canadian friends.
Mm-hmm. Well, 30 miles is about 30 minutes. Well, I guess if you're taking back roads, maybe not. But if you're taking the expressway, it's like 30 minutes. It's like a minute a mile if you're going 60 miles per hour. And our expressways are like 70 miles per hour. Sorry, continue.
You Americans. The rumor mill in the community really started to churn at this point.
Uh-oh.
Because Ochi had once arrived at school covered in bruises, but
Oh.
she had claimed that horseback riding was to blame. One of Ochi's friends also reportedly recalled seeing her eating berries on the school playground and told her that they might be toxic and that she shouldn't eat them. Ochi retorted that she didn't really care and that perhaps dying was what she wanted. She eventually
Oh.
clarified that she was joking, but her friend was really bothered by the remark.
Yeah, yeah.
Even Donald Ochi started to harbor suspicions that Vicky Felton had something to do with their daughter going missing. Huffington Post claims that Felton underwent 3 separate polygraph exams, 2 by the FBI and 1 by a local polygraph examiner. She failed every time.
Well, I don't really like
I mean, we have
polygraphs,
our
but
opinions on polygraphs.
yeah.
And she basically said the same thing. She's like, I couldn't tell you why, but like they measure changes in your body. And when your daughter's gone missing, they strap you up to a shit ton of stuff.
Yeah.
And like, how is your body not going to react?
Well, especially because you're probably freaking out, like, oh my God, they're gonna think I did this, and then they're gonna stop
Yeah.
looking for her. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Awful. Like, yeah. I was a witness to something and I had to go to the police station and talk to the police. And like, I was freaking nervous and I didn't do anything
Yeah.
wrong. I
Yeah.
literally had just like witnessed what happened.
Yeah, for sure. I think I would be peeing myself. Yeah.
Yeah. Felton was never charged though, because like we kind of discuss every time we talk about polygraphs, they don't really uphold in court very well.
Yeah. They're not super great.
No. And there was really no other evidence linking her to her daughter's disappearance. Um, but yeah, so she was basically like a solid suspect, but then
Mhm.
obviously she wasn't, thankfully. Donald Occhi still thinks though that Vicky knows something, even though she was never charged. And he revealed that Felton was a skilled interrogator for the US Army. So he's like, I had concerns with the local law enforcement handling this case because I don't think that they had actually dealt with someone with Vicky's intelligence before. Like she was a trained interrogator and she knew how to act regarding questions.
Ah. Okay.
Mhm. Very interesting. He doesn't think someone could have arrived at the house in less than an hour, killed Ochi, concealed any weapons, and cleaned up the blood in the bathroom. His hypothesis is that Felton murdered Ochi the previous evening and misled authorities about the entire sequence of events.
Did he have any evidence for this, or is this just his theory?
It's just his theory. I mean, he's in the US Army too, right? Like he, depending on what kind of unit he's in, but
Yeah.
I'm assuming he has these weird theories.
Yeah.
I mean, he just went through a really traumatic event too, right? So,
Yeah. Okay.
and I mean, it is really hard to think of somebody arriving there like within an hour and doing all that stuff. And they even like tried cleaning it up.
Yeah.
I don't
The
know.
only thing is though, why would she mention the light being on in the garage? Like that's a weird detail to make up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. No, I know. Yeah, it's honestly a really it's a really it just really bugs me
Yeah.
this case because there's so much about it in the sense of like it's like a really it's a good whodunit essentially.
Yeah.
Like you just there's a couple of suspects like the mom and then the one that we're going to talk about next.
Okay.
And I honestly think that the one that comes up next is the most plausible.
Okay.
So Vicky had her own theories, and this guy was named Oscar Kearns, and he was the Sunday school instructor at the church that Felton and Ochi went to.
Okay.
The same stable that Ochi frequented for her horses also housed Kearns' horses, and he occasionally invited the young girl to go riding with him, which is just
Well, so
Fel-
far it sounds kind of just like nice, maybe.
Mhm.
Okay.
Felton contended that Ochi must have unlocked the door for whoever kidnapped her because there was no indications of forced entry. Furthermore, the culprit had to be someone she knew because she would never have allowed a stranger inside the house.
Mhm.
Her allegations were supported by the fact that Kearns kidnapped a 15-year-old girl in Memphis, Tennessee, who he had met through church barely 9 months after Ochi vanished. Before sending her off to school, he sexually assaulted her, and when he was apprehended, he admitted to everything.
Holy shit. Okay. Well, yeah, that's some pretty damning evidence.
Yeah. Kearns was given an 8-year prison term, but he only spent 4 of them before being freed in October 1997.
for kidnapping and sexual assault of a kid.
Yep.
Oh my
2 years after his release, he abducted a married couple and sexually assaulted the wife. He received 20 more years in prison for those offenses.
Did he get out in
And
2?
I honestly I don't think so.
Okay, good.
Yeah. He kept declining to speak to the FBI and the police though about Occhi's disappearance. So I don't know, because like he admitted to that stuff, right? Like I feel like if you did it, you
But he got
admit to it
caught.
sometimes. Yeah,
You know what I
that's
mean?
true. But
And
also
like,
sometimes they want to be like remembered.
yeah, but the thing is, if so, he only got 8 years for
Yeah.
the sexual assault and kidnapping of the one girl. If he would have admitted to another one, he would have gotten a shit ton more time. 8 years is not bad.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing, right? Like he got the 20 years after that.
Still not
But
bad, right? Like, I mean,
I
20 years sucks, but if he got out in
yeah,
4,
I just honestly like I think he did it
yeah.
based off of his MO, but we'll never know.
Well, and I think it's telling that her mom went there with him. Like in
Yeah.
her mind, like he could have done this before he was even caught kidnapping the other people.
Yeah.
Because why would you suspect someone unless something was just kind of off about them, you know?
Yeah. And unfortunately, he died in May 2021.
Oh,
Yeah. Occhi's case was pushed out of the news cycle by Hurricane Andrew and the forthcoming 1992 election. Police ran out of suspects to question as those closest to Occhi, including her mom and her stepfather, were found not guilty. In addition, investigators ran out of leads to pursue because there was little physical evidence other than the blood they had found in the residence. When a farmer discovered a skull on his soybean field in November 1993, there is a momentary ray of optimism. Police eventually discovered that it belonged to Pollyanna Sue Keith, who was a local missing woman, and not Leigh. In 2017, Aguirre, the police guy, stated that he believed Vicky was still considered a person of interest. Which, like, I don't know, man.
I don't think she is, but I get from a police standpoint because they never like truly ruled her out.
Yeah, and this is what he says. You still can't eliminate her. There are still too many unanswered questions for Vicky, and I don't know if that is unusual for somebody to go off to work and say, well, I just left Leigh, but I'm going to call and check on her. Why check on her that soon after she just left?
Well, like you said, if there's a tropical storm and rain had been coming through, and maybe Leigh was sleeping still, and she's like, "Oh, she's up, so I'm gonna check on her
Yeah.
now." I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it, but I don't think that that is like
But like, why
a
would you
great
go
point.
home just for rain? Like, go home and check on your daughter just for rain.
Well, she didn't. She called her, and then you
Yeah. And
said
then
when
she
she couldn't
still
get
went
her, then she
home.
went home when she couldn't get a hold of her.
Yeah, but she could have just been sleeping.
Yeah.
I don't
Eh.
know. It can go both ways. I 100% think Oscar Kearns had to do with it.
Mhm.
And maybe like her mom helped out. I don't know. It's really hard to, like the guy said, to think that within an hour all of that stuff happened.
Yeah, unless, like she said, she knew her. She knew maybe he was waiting for the mom to leave. As soon as she left, he went to the door, let
Yeah.
her in. I think he probably accidentally killed her because, from what it sounds like, he was just kind of more into kidnapping. And so I wonder if things went wrong. She fought back and he accidentally killed her.
Yeah. Either way, really
It's
awful.
awful. Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah.
The investigation into Lee Occhi may have stalled, but it's still open. She is still considered to be missing. She
Mm.
was thin with bluish green eyes and blonde hair at the time of her disappearance. Please get in touch with the Crime Stoppers of Northeast Mississippi or the Tupelo Police if you have any information about her whereabouts or the case. You can contact the Tupelo Police Department, Jesus Murphy, at 662-841-6491. Or if you want to call the FBI, you
Ooh,
can call 202-324-3000. And that's my story on Leigh Occhi.
that was awful. Thank you.
Awful. I'm so sorry. But thank you, Kyle, for the recommendation because it
Yeah, thank
was
you. It was
very
interesting,
fascinating.
but yeah, sad, super sad.
Yeah, interesting, but like sad.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh,
Well, do you have any
yeah.
jokes for us to lighten the mood?
Yeah,
'Cause
I do.
Okay, what you got?
I love this. Okay, what do Alexander the Great and Kermit the Frog have in common?
I don't know what.
The same middle name.
Oh my god. I like that.
Oh my god.
That's great.
What what did King George think of the American colonies?
What?
He thought they were revolting.
Oh, gross.
um that's stupid. How are the first Americans like ants?
Small but tough.
They both live in colonies.
Ah, wonderful. Well,
You're
if you want
welcome.
more of us lovely ladies, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
And if you'd like to rate and review us, you can do so on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Yay! Well, thanks everybody for listening, and we look forward to bringing you 2 new stories next week.
Bye.